Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Cinema Condition, a podcast devoted to analyzing films and what makes a movie a movie. I am your host, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, a filmmaker and film critic. Today, I am joined by Michelle Ochoa. They are a PhD student, and today they have selected Children Who Chase Lost Voices. Hey, Michelle, how are you doing today?
I am doing really great. Really awesome.
Michelle asked because we're just trying to act like I didn't do this already, and I didn't have to take like 10 minutes or 15 minutes trying to fix the way that this looks on YouTube. But yeah, Michelle's final pick for today of this season. Michelle gets 3 picks on the season, as they are one of the first people who came on the show, so they get 3 picks every season. So the last one is today, as we're nearing the end of season 2. But yeah, Michelle, how are you doing today? How's your day been?
It's been really interesting. Well, I don't know if it's interesting, but it's just like I would say interesting because I was like half frustrated, half okay, half like okay, I should probably get my shit done type of deal. Because I was waiting for the mechanic to fix my Jeep. There's like some shit going
Still
on with
dealing
it.
with that.
I know, I hate it. And so I got the part that they need to fix and stuff, and they said, "Oh yeah, I'll be there on Tuesday between 12 and 1." And so I told myself, "Okay, I'm gonna play some Tears of the Kingdom while I wait." Um and then by the time I realized it's 4 p.m., and I'm like, where the hell is this dude? I spent several hours playing. What's going on? And then the dude's like, oh yeah, sorry, it's because like I have an interview prepared that I have to prepare for. And I'm like, and you couldn't have like let us know that you weren't gonna show up. Like I need to buy groceries. I need to, get my shit done. And also, I was a bit upset that I didn't put an alarm to start my work. So I mean that was my fault, but it was fun. I like I'm almost. I haven't been able to play for the longest time because I've been just doing schoolwork. So playing for 4 hours is nice. So that's one of the things. And the other cool interesting thing that I told Raul on the last time that before we had to redo this is that I have some news. So I last semester I wrote a paper in a communication class about how anime and manga culture have influenced US society, and my professor really liked it, and he said that it would be really cool if I could use it to apply to a conference to present it. And I got an email today saying that they accepted it to the
Ooh,
conference.
nice.
So I'm going to go to Chicago to give a presentation on how the anime and manga industry have changed US society.
Nice. So all these times you've been on this podcast, what's it called? It amounts to something, right? It actually amounts to something.
I know, I'm so excited about it
Yeah.
because I always talk about my own research topic and stuff, but anime has always been there for me. And when I went to this conference last year for another topic I was presenting on, they I saw all of these people doing like there's an Asian popular culture subject area
Mm-hmm.
from the conference, and I said, "Oh my goodness, I can actually come and talk for 15 minutes and give a whole presentation on anime. What?
Yeah.
I am going to do this." And so the cool thing is I already have the paper written, and I have the like the PowerPoint, everything's great. My my professor told me that my paper would more likely be selected if I had a pun in the what's it called in the title.
Yeah.
So the pun was what did the otakus tell US society to pay attention to them?
Oh.
Look
Okay.
at me, senpai.
Oh my god.
It's
All
so
right.
bad.
Yep.
And so they
Yeah.
loved it.
Very bad.
And I have a pun for every single subject.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Well,
I'm gonna stop there.
congratulations. Yeah, yeah. Congratulations. That's great. I'm really happy that that happened. That means that, whenever these maybe down the line when some of these special edition releases come out and they ask people to write essays about the films, maybe they might get Rochelle to write an essay for them. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But that's cool. It's really cool. I'm glad you got that going down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the semester, I guess, quote unquote, is over. I don't have to take any more classes. And um, I'm also laughing because Raul, every time he asks me, are you still a student? I'm like, yes. He's like, oh, I don't believe you. You're about to be over. But I am. Like, it's almost over. It's only a 5 year program. And I mean,
It's a lot, man.
I'm in my fourth year. I don't know how the hell I got this far, but I'm still here. And next semester is going to be my last semester of taking classes. And then after that, it's just research, baby. I'm going to be going to the border a lot, and I'm going to have a lot of students with me leading a team to do interviews and things like that. So I'm
Nice,
excited about that.
nice, nice. Well, at least it's almost done. At least you could say that it's almost done, right? You mean
This
uh,
time, yes. I'm
this time I
almost.
mean it. This time I
This
mean it.
time I mean it.
Yup, yup. Um, but not much going on over here, guys. It's just been I got sick recently, so I had to move around the episodes a bit here. I also had somebody who Michelle is Michelle is swapping places with the person I had originally planned to do number 72, which is the episode you're listening to right now. But I had to swap it because they let's go they they reached back a little too late and they're kind of busy right now, so I swapped it with them. So hopefully everything works out correctly and we have this. But we're nearing the end of season 2. We've just a lot going on here. I think these next couple episodes are my favorite. There's my favorite. So are going to be some of my favorites or movies that I'm really interested in discussing. And the final stretch is going to be really cool, and I'm really, really, really excited for our season finale here. I think that's going to be a really good one. As long as the guy who I'm doing it with, puts in as much dedication as I'm going to put into this episode, because I'm ready to consume a lot of what I need to consume for that movie. So let's just hope that it all goes well. But yeah, lots going down over there. But of course, if you want to get this episode early, for weeks early or a couple days early, depending on when I record them, then you want to go ahead and go over to patreon.com/the nerdy chicano, where you can get access to this episode and other episodes of the Cinema Condition early before anyone in the public gets to listen or hear them. You also get my reviews on my channel for the Blu-rays that I do and other videos that you see go up on the channel. You can get that stuff early. Of course, as I tell you all in the videos, it is not mandatory, but it is appreciated. It's just help. It's an extra helping hand there. If you want to continue just helping out by watching these videos, subscribing to the channel, leaving a like on the video, turn on the notification bell, all those wonderful things, then keep doing that, please. But don't need to feel like it's mandatory to be on the Patreon. But it's there if you want to help. And yeah, today Michelle selected Children Who Chase Lost Voices from Makoto Shinkai. I have a really short film introduction that I'm going to do here, so that way we can just lead into the actual conversation. So, because we've talked about Shinkai here for the past couple of episodes, and yeah, what's it called? There's no filmmaker introduction to do anymore. The guy, has had a filmmaker introduction in the first episode we did. Only thing different that happened in his life is that he released a new movie called Suzumi, and we talked about that a little bit on the last episode when Michelle brought it up. She wants to do it next season, so that will be one of her picks as well. But here is what I could find on Children Who Chase Lost Voices. After completing work on 5 centimeters per second, Shinkai returned to Japan to work on his film in 2009. He wanted to tackle how to overcome loss instead of how his characters usually have to part ways with things and people they hold dear. In November of 2010, he revealed the title and the teaser trailer. The film was released in Japan on May 7th, 2011. That's it.
That's
Um,
literally it.
I guess the only other thing, I guess, if you guys want me to say it, because it's on brand with the channel, they recently re-released this on Blu-ray because the original distributor lost the distribution rights expired. So G Kids came in, swept it up, and now it's available on Blu-ray. You can buy it along with 5 centimeters per second. But the place promised in our early days, I believe, is not available on that. So I'm guessing they still have what's it called, distribution rights to that. But yeah, a lot of his early work has been re-released because of the distribution rights expiring. So G Kids went ahead and got that. So yeah, shout out G Kids. They keep anime physical media alive here in the United States, and if you own a physical media of any anime film, it's probably distributed by either G Kids or Shout Factory. So that's probably why. But yeah, why Michelle? Why did you? Well, I know why you selected it because we just want to do a bunch of Shinkai. But any reason why you selected Children Who Chase Lost Voices in particular?
um, I honestly was like you said, I kind of just was wanting to go through Shinkai. And then I was remembering our last conversation about like how Shinkai sort of has the same thing in all of his movies. And so I think I hadn't noticed it until now. I mean, after several like different movies of watching and analyzing them with you and talking about them with you, like literally his last three movies have been almost the same. I love them.
By the guys, we have done the Garden of Words, Your Name, 5 centimeters per second, Weathering with You, and it took the fifth one for Michelle to finally notice that this guy has been remaking the same movie since 2010.
I'm sorry, okay? Like,
No, it's fine, and you are 100% entitled to the opinion you want to have. And if you like this guy's movies, 100% you should enjoy him. You should like him. If you like him, you like him. I'm not gonna be here to judge that. But the guy's been making the same fucking movie for a while now.
yeah, so I mean, when I first picked all of these movies, I mean, I hadn't seen all of them. And so that's why I had picked them, right? But after Suzume, that's when I was like,
You're like, oh
damn,
shit.
this guy really just remakes the same movies. I mean, I honestly I wanted to see this one in particular because I thought it was gonna be a little different. I guess it
It is. It's
sort
a
of is.
little. It's
It's
just a
just like a
little.
little different just because it doesn't have the exact same thing. But while I was watching it, Flavio, by the way, I think since last time, oh yeah, so I got married. Flavio is my husband. And so Flavio was watching it with, oh, like next to me and stuff. He was like playing video games or something on his phone, and he passed by or something. I don't remember, but he's like, "Hey, are you watching Suzume or are you watching like?" It was so funny, and I was like, "No, but it's the same creator." And he's like, no wonder."
Yeah. So this one is a little different. And here, guys, surprise! Or I will listen on this hater shit today. I actually really liked Children Who Chase Lost Voices.
It's a really good
I
movie.
I think that this is like I've sat here, I've watched all these movies with Michelle. I literally have one more movie from this guy to watch to what's it called complete this guy's filmography, other than like his shorts that he did. But his features is the only one left. The next, the price promised to us in our early days is the only one. What's it called that I still need to watch.
Yeah, me too.
This one was different. This one was different. I think that it doesn't fall into the same trope of his other movies. Like,
Mm-mm.
what's it called? Asuna doesn't end up with Shun at the end. He doesn't. She doesn't. She just, what's it called, goes back to life, and she goes back to the real world. And it kind of like Mr. Morisaki doesn't end up. His wife doesn't come back to life. She doesn't. He doesn't end up with his wife, and it's like, and it's also not entirely in a urban setting like most of his other films. So I thought, okay, you know what, this was different. I liked a little bit of what he's doing in here, but it still kind of falls into the same idea of what he's been usually doing for the past couple of, well, not the past, like for every film since 5 centimeters per second. Uh, so I was like, okay, cool, this is interesting, but yeah, I thought this was a good movie. I liked it. I don't think it's my favorite from him. I think my favorite is still Garden of Words. I think that's his
Oh
best.
yeah,
That's
Garden
his
of
best
Words
one.
is
Uh,
beautiful.
that's the only one that I could say like, okay, I think he did a little different. Like that was his most different. That's the only
Hmm.
one, and that's a gap in between this one and Your Name, I believe. Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
gap in between there. And then that one's not even a freaking feature. That's like a whole. That's like 45 minutes of a movie. Um, I like that one. But yeah, I liked this one was good. I thought it was good. I don't think it's his best, but I did think like when I watched this, I was like, damn, this is what he could do if he just like decided to like kind of change it up a little bit. And it pisses me off more because it's like, oh, I seen the guy's new movie, and he doesn't change it up. He
It's so
doesn't.
funny.
He's like, and I read this like article where it was like, oh no, the studio wanted him to, what's it called, keep it like that. He wanted to do something different. I'm like, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. This guy made probably one of the highest, at the time, the highest grossing anime film of all time when Your Name came out. You're telling me this guy doesn't have some sort of like pull to be like, no, this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna do it like this, and you guys are gonna distribute my movie whether you like it or not.
Right.
But you know what? What do I know, right? I'm just a guy who gets on this podcast. I talk about his movies. I shit on them sometimes, but I still manage to, what's it called, discuss them because I think at least his movies still have something to say, and there's something to, what's it called, pull, what's it called, to take with you when you finish them. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I like this one. I thought it was a good movie. I didn't hate it like I didn't hate it like the last couple ones that I've watched from him. But yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, hate is such a strong word. I don't hate Suzumi. I just don't like it. I like half of Suzumi. I think half of the first half of Suzumi, it's actually pretty damn good, and I wish he would have kept with that. The second half just falls into what he's been doing for the last couple of movies, and it ruins it for me. But like, I don't hate that movie. I just don't like it. And but yeah, I don't know. I went there. I went on that rant again. I'm sorry. It's just like,
No, it's okay. I think it's similar to, for example, you've seen so many movies already that it gets to a point where you ruin, like, it's not that you ruin the movies
you find
to
a
yourself,
pattern with
but
some
you
of
find
these
a
guys,
pattern.
bro.
And it's the same thing with shonen with me. I don't like watching shonen as much because it's the same fucking pattern. It's the same dude with no powers that is like screaming and obnoxiously, and or is suddenly getting power ups every so often and whatnot.
Yeah,
And but I'll watch shonen when they have like a good backstory, or like when they move it around a little bit.
yeah,
But it's not that I hate it. It's just I I guess movies. I mean, I guess anime. And so it's I guess this is similar in that there's always a pattern with Shinkai when it comes to this kind of stuff.
yeah,
I like that he added a little bit. I by this time I was guessing in a certain like uh I just knew what was gonna happen every time. Every time something was
yeah,
gonna happen, it got to a point. That's why I say like it took me this much.
yeah,
Oh no, in Suzume I was also um guessing the movie, so I already knew what was gonna happen.
yeah.
It looked beautiful, right? But
Yeah.
story wise, it was about
Suzumi,
the
especially
same thing.
when that fire thing comes out and like the
Oh
sky's like black and
yeah,
red. It's like fuck, oh my god, looks
It looks
beautiful. I
beautiful.
love it. And there's a lot of parts in this movie that look beautiful too. I think the
Mm-hmm.
visuals are stunning. That's never been something that I what's it called ever complain about with this guy's movies. I think he has an eye for what his visual style is, and I think he stuck to that. And he produces some great what's it called animation because he's an animator first before he's ever a storyteller here. I think he's been able to bring out a great animation style out of his movies. It's just what I have a problem is the narrative. I think that narrative has been repetitive for a while now, and in here I was like, okay, this guy's gonna come back. They're gonna they're gonna what's it called fall in love together, and they're gonna what's it called stay. And I was like, oh shit, no, that didn't happen. I was like, wow, okay. I'm actually I really like the way this movie ends. I like the way this movie ends, and I was really surprised there. Also, just like all of his other movies, and I mean, just like let's be honest, like what's it called, anime in general, and films in general. How's it called? You once again fall into the thing where like the mom is apparently like super worried about her daughter, but then she comes back to the real world and she's like, "Oh, hi, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry."
I was the whole fucking time. I was like, this girl,
You're telling me,
really, this bitch really left her mom alone for I don't know how many days. Like, who
yeah,
fucking knows if time in
is relative or
space
something.
is happening at the same, like,
Yeah,
what's going on? And suddenly this girl comes
and
back.
she's alone with like her substitute teacher. It's like not even her teacher. It's like her substitute teacher. Um, But yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like, that's just nitpicky. That's me being nitpicky. Like, these are things that happen in movies all the time. Okay, let's be honest. Like, it happens in movies all the time. It just always makes me laugh when it happens because I'm just like, she just got home, like nothing happened. Okay, mom, I was gone, and your mom's just like, oh, welcome back, honey. I missed you. Like, oh, okay.
No, hombre, mi mamá me daba una zarandeada or something. Like, pinche huerca, ¿por qué chingados te fuiste? Like, I could just,
Yeah,
oh my
man.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I wish there was more info about this movie. There wasn't a lot going on, even because there's a lot of Aztec terms here. There's a lot of Aztec like imagery in here, so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to find some sort of like info about if he had seen if was inspired by that or something. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything. It's just like, oh, like he wanted to do something different this time around. So, guys, a lot of this conversation is pretty much going to be left to literally our interpretation, not what's it called, what Shinkai actually wanted to do with it, because we don't have any info about this.
Interesting.
Yeah, I try to find like reviews. Maybe some people kind of brought it up, maybe essays or something, and no, nothing. I don't find anything on these movies, and I get it. It's not the most accessible as movies. It literally just got what's it called re-released here, so like it just didn't have that time to finally be able to live within the Western what's it called zeitgeist as all these other films did. Like, of course, there'd be more to discuss on Your Name and Weathering with You, since those films actually got like put out here like that. But this is like the first time that the film is being released in like a wide physical market here in the United States this year. So yeah, if you're ready, then I'm ready, Michelle.
Yeah, I was trying to Google if I could find anything, but no.
No, I couldn't find it like at all. I thought I was really surprised because um, I thought there would be something, but there's not. There's nothing, and I don't have the Blu-ray, so I don't know anything about information that might have been on the special features. But I was surprised. I'm like, there's no info. But this isn't the first movie that we do here that the info is really scarce. Like I believe the one I did with AK. We did about Kirosami's "The Wind Will Carry Us." Like, it's just there's no info on that movie. Like, not a
Mm.
lot of information to be said on that movie. And I was like, well, shit, man. It comes down to what distributors deem is necessary from the international markets and what they feel is not necessary. So it takes a couple years down the line, and it takes years actually, not a couple. It takes years, like years upon years down the line, for these movies to reach their way over here. And that means that information is going to be really scarce for now, and it's going to probably not reach over here anytime soon. So yeah, unless suddenly somebody gets to sit down with Shigai and ask him about about what it was, what's up with this movie. But you know, yeah, I don't know, man. Man might not like me if he listens to any of this. So yeah, but with that said, if you're ready, then I'm ready, Michelle.
Let's go.
This is our conversation on Makoto Shinkai's Children Who Chase Lost Voices. So we start this film off with our main character, Asuna. Asuna is a teenage girl. I believe she's 15, right? I think the film states that she's 15. And she's your standard, what's it called, teenage girl. She goes to school. She studies at school, and then she goes home. But when you first meet Asuna, she doesn't have parents at home, and I think at first, honestly, the film kind of makes you think that her parents are dead or something, because she lives alone. She makes food by herself. She has a little kitty that follows her around called Mimi, but she lives at home, and Asuna then meets this boy named Shin. Shin seems a bit odd and different. Asuna, you know, shows him like her radio that her father left for her, where she uses this like crystal thing to be able to play with the with the what's it called, with
Like a radio thing?
the
Is that
radio, yeah. And Rochelle just told me that Austin is actually 11. Wow. Wow. Okay, I am not going to touch that because there's some stuff where I wonder what Shin's age is then. But
I'm gonna look it up.
what is Shin's age when it? Yeah, you know what? This brings a bigger conversation about time. But yeah, Shin. Well, Austin is a child, and she has this radio. She uses this crystal to kind of play with the signal. But Asuna gets into this confrontation with this sort of monster-looking thing, and um, Shin saves her, and Shin tells her that he's from this place called Agartha, and Asuna believes that's a foreign country. She doesn't know where that is, and Asuna decides to try to go find Shin the next day. And sadly, she can't find Shin because Shin has passed on, as he's come on a mission to bring another crystal to Asuna. And Asuna, along with her substitute teacher, Mr. Morisaki, embark in this journey to find Agartha and find this room, or this sort of entity that is supposed to give you your desire, like your deep desire and your one wish that you would want, even though it doesn't seem to always work that way. So that this film, like, there's a lot going on in here, Michelle. And I'm sorry, I know you're sending me messages. I can't open those messages because it would pop up here on the screen. So
Oh,
actually,
no
just
worries.
let me know what you're actually trying to say because
I'll just wait. I'll just
yeah,
wait.
yeah. Because yeah, that's she's 11. Wow. Okay, that means by so that means at the end she probably is 15, then,
Yeah,
or
because
like 17.
I think there's like a time jump. That's what
Massive
that's
time.
kind of what I got. That at the end there was a time jump.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so according to fandom, because we gotta trust the fans sometimes more than I don't know where these people get
Yeah.
their info, but the fandom sources say that Shun was 14 and Shin is 11.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes you feel a little better when it comes to Shin, but not Shun. But yeah.
The blessing, yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
just, I don't even know. Like, I would say the teacher's probably like, what, in his 30s?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
In
there's
his
so
30s.
the film revolves around Asuna, but I mean it also heavily revolves around
The
Mr.
teacher.
Morisaki,
Yeah.
and the people, especially the people of Agartha, and all these different, I don't want to call them tribes because they're not tribes. I would say just different people that live in Agartha. Um, but I
Yeah,
wanted our
societies,
yeah, different societies.
communities.
Yeah, communities. Yeah, I think that's yeah, different communities. I wanted to start off our conversation with actually discussing Agartha because I think that it's just it's a very interesting thing that the place and kind of like mythologically what Shinkai is kind of playing with here. So Agartha is kind of discussed in this film as this like sort of like entry point to like not entry point, more so like this bridge to the afterlife, something like that. And it's like this is where these people who obviously are dead don't exist here, before they decide to head on to the afterlife. And this place is mythological, and they think like, well, they say that it exists, but it doesn't actually exist. And you also have to kind of go into the deep parts of the ocean and find this door where it takes you into a cave, and then you find this like gate where you can go, and it's like, they're like, maybe it does exist, maybe it doesn't. And then during that whole my I have to bring this up after this though, but during that whole confrontation between the what's the special forces that was after them,
I think it was Eagle
archangels.
archangels,
Wait, yeah,
archangels.
when archangels are come to look for them, which by the way, Mr. Morisaki is like supposed to be what's it called, posing as one because he used to be part of them, and somehow you're supposed to be okay with the fact that this guy put a gun in your face, and next you're like, okay, I'll go on this journey
For
with you.
real, like the whole time I was like, this girl really just completely forgot
Like,
that
okay, it's like, you know
this
what?
guy pointed a gun at her.
That is a child. That is a child. 100%. That is a child because that's only what a child would think. Um, but I wanted to kind of get your thoughts going here about like not just the scenery, but the idea and the mythological like um, area of what Agartha is described within this movie.
I think um the way that I kind of took it in was more like a community or a society that exists it, at the center of the world before you get to kind of the let's call it the death valley or whatever,
Yeah,
wherever all the souls kind of go through or to. um and I thought it was really interesting, because they talk about, I don't know, not just Shinkai, but um, just anime in general that I've like recently been looking at and things like that. They bring up history a lot. They bring up a lot of points in history and how society just like decides to repeat itself by countless wars, and so to a point you're thinking about um, what kind of what did this society have,
yeah,
um, that the people, let's say the topsiders or
yeah,
um, always wanted to have, because I don't know, it's it always makes me reflect on how we see things happening today, the same thing with the war in Gaza and things like that, where people are just constantly fighting for land and to be, and killing, committing genocide, literally, to for what,
yeah.
for
Because
resources and things like that. And it's the same thing that happens here.
in the film, the guy who what's it called has like an eye patch, kind of describes it that like there was a time that we lived with the topsiders,
Mm-hmm.
but we were pushed out because they started burning down our communities and they started wanting to get us out. In a way, kind of like because once again, like I said, guys, we're playing by interpretation here. We don't have any information as to what Shinkai actually meant by what he has here. But like in a way, he's kind of saying that like Gagartha is kind of like this pseudo indigenous classical um like kind of classical like medieval type of society where they have like been displaced and they've been relocated into this place now So they created this kind of bridging point between, what's it called, land and like the afterlife. And they're kind of like left here, and so they kind of get really like they're really uneasy with the idea of the topsiders coming into Agartha, because they have a fear that, of course, they're gonna get pushed out again. They're gonna, and then this time they feel like, well, we literally have nowhere to go else. We have, like, what's it called? You're gonna just have to kill us to send us into the afterlife, because this is the bridge. Like, we have nothing else here. This is part of like where else do you have to displace us to?
And it's a and to a point, it kind of, because Sean, not Sean, sorry, Shin talks about how um they, in a way, or the way that he interprets it, is that they're kind of just living their life until their community basically disappears. Like, they've just come to, I don't know if in an understanding or complacency that, your life will end eventually, so why even kind of bother to
Yeah.
be any different, or try, to increase our community, or make this community like better or whatnot. And so um I also kind of thought that Agartha had uh like god, not gods, but spiritual beings or
Well,
something. And
that's what
so
the whole, what's it called, arc thing was on top, right? He
yeah,
said
yeah,
that
yeah.
that's basically God watching us, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so interesting, though. It's just like this kind of like realm that, because the idea is that even in all these like different religions, like the idea is that, well, God is in the afterlife. He's waiting for
Mm-hmm.
us. And in here in Agartha, it's like, no, God is actually
He's
kind
right
of like
there,
right here. He's
yeah.
like they're watching, like they're keeping an eye, and that arc eventually comes down to grant the wish. And I thought that the way the Shinkai kind of approaches that is like really interesting, because, like, of course, this whole movie is about how to deal with loss, how to overcome loss. And I thought the idea of, like, oh, God actually being present in this area was really interesting.
Yeah, and they don't like, I'm I'm really curious, man, if we only had the information from how or why he decided to pick this specific um culture, or like Aztec um
Yeah,
aspects of the culture. And the Quetzalcoatl, I
it's a
me
cuadro.
saqué
Yeah,
de onda, when I was
I had to
looking.
rewind back,
Yeah, me too. I had to go back, and I was like,
and
wait
I
a
was like,
second, did
wait.
he just say Quetzalcoatl?
I rewinded it, and then I paused it, looked up the Wikipedia article to make sure that, like, this wasn't a subtitle error with the
Hmm.
translation. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, he actually means Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl. And
Hmm.
I was like, okay, like, that's interesting. Like, I've never seen Jikai be interested in this type of thing, but, like, we don't have information, so we don't actually know, like, what he meant to by that. But he also brings up the alebrijes. Like, Mimi is an
Yeah.
alebrije. Like, Mimi is this this idea of, like, this animal that has a job
A
in the
spirit.
afterlife,
Yeah.
spirit animal, an animal that has a job in the afterlife, and once that job is done, they're no longer there to guide you. They're just this spirit that guides you into the afterlife. And I was like, oh wow. I was like, okay, this, like, what is he trying to do here? And of course, like, when you meet the society that Shun is a part of, I thought their clothing was very reminiscent of, like, indigenous, what's it called, patterns, and indigenous, what's it called, wardrobe, especially their
Yeah.
homes and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the things that they ate, the way that they were, whenever Shin gets they go into the, I don't know what that village or like city was called, but when the old man is trying to help him with his wounds and stuff, like, he doesn't use medicine, he uses herbs, and
Yeah,
these things that you usually would see. And I'm trying to remember the pattern that that sus Flavius,
yeah.
like.
The
super interested
painting,
in.
yeah, the painting that he had in the back reminded me a lot of like the Aztec calendar.
There's like a whole, because Flavio loves doing research on like shamanismo and all of that
Yeah,
stuff, like different ways that like indigenous people heal the soul and heal like things like that.
yeah,
And spiritually, that's basically it. Like that's the whole. And this is not the first time I see it now in an anime. I also saw it in another like anime where I was like, oh wow, it's the same, like the same figure, that symbol that they're using. But whenever they talk about Mimi being an alebrije and things like that, I it made me think about how Shun, whenever he's talking to Mimi and saying, "Oh, she heard, Asuna heard my last song and stuff before I had to die or leave, whatever,"
mm-hmm,
um, and is saying, "I want you to take care of her, and I want her to live." And so at first, I thought maybe he's like the spirit or somebody who's supposed to lead her or like be with her until her death,
yeah,
you know? And so it kind of like passed on to Mimi being the person that is guiding her before she dies. And so for a moment I thought like this girl gonna die, and like
yeah,
this is basically her way of her being able to listen to the songs of the underworld and all of this stuff is just kind of her, like a way of her getting closer to her death. um but then everything changes when she actually goes down, and they talk about Agartha, and then the clavis,
mm-hmm,
uh, and how they were made and all of this stuff, and like how these Yorks or something, like the creatures of the night, or
oh
like the
yeah,
shadows, would try and get rid of people from topsiders, or had blood from topsiders.
yeah.
And so
Defiant blood, I believe.
yeah,
What is that?
defiled blood,
Defiled blood. Yeah,
defiled blood. And so at first I was like, okay, it has nothing to do with that. But then when they were talking about the Mana, the little girl who's the daughter of um of a topsider and somebody from Agartha, I then thought, wait a second, what if Asuna's dad was from Agartha? And so, kind of like the same as Shun, he couldn't survive for too long, and the topsider, he stayed with his mom, or well, like with Asuna's mom until she was born,
yeah,
and as long as he could, and then died. Because even while Asun, there's like this part where Asuna and her mom are. Asuna's asking her mom like, "Oh, daddy's not coming back," and they're at the graveyard and stuff, and she's talking to herself, saying like, I know you always talked about death, and you always said that death was something, that happens in life, and we should appreciate it. Like the way that he was talking about death was similar to what the old man and these people were talking
yeah,
about death. And so that's when I thought like, oh, then this makes sense, because why does Asuna have a clavis? Oh, probably it was a memento from her dad. Oh, the dad was from
Garza.
Agartha.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so that's when I was like, oh my god. And so
yeah,
that's why she's also like similar to
yeah.
the kid Mana, like she's probably like half Agarthian and
Half
Topsider.
top cider.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was also like it's interesting how like they kind of like what's it called juxtapose. So you have the people that the Shun and Shin are part of course, and then you go to this other place which have a very medieval look. It feels
Mm-hmm.
very like classical, like oh the old kingdoms and stuff like that. And those are the ones that are like really like what's it called those except for that old man like really aggressive. They're like, no, we don't even want you in here. Like, it kind of feels like those areas that were probably taken over by what's it,
Colonized, yeah.
yeah, colonized by like I think about like the Moors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and in the areas that were like taken over, and they were probably felt to be like, well, we have to kind of grow this idea of like, you know, okay, we need to find a way to not let this happen to us again. So we have to kind of put up this wall of being aggressive to make sure that we kind of sustain this way of life that we have here. And and they of course they come and they what's it called going they try to go and find Asuna so that way they could get the clavis so that way they can get her out. Well, they want her dead. First of all, they want her dead. What's it called? And so that's really fucked up there. They just straight up want her dead, and they don't even want to take her out. They want to kill her, and they even try to convince Shun to what to be like, you need a killer and you need to take the clavis so that way this doesn't end up with another topsider. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought that was really interesting when it comes to the societies of Gartha, and then especially the different Quetzalcoatl, because like the one we saw in the topside world in the real world, it's like it looks like a dinosaur of sort. It's like okay,
Like a bear. It reminded
bear
me of
dinosaur.
ay, ¿cómo se llaman? Los no quetzales. They're like they're really pretty, and they're ¿cómo se llaman? They're really famous in Mexico. And they were like almost like about to get extinct. Uh,
Axolotls.
Ándale, esos
Axolotls, yeah,
ocelotos. It
yeah,
kind of looked like it a little
yeah.
bit.
Kind of like axolotl with like the body of like a
A
bear or like
bear.
a
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, and
Uh-huh.
it was different. And then when you get to Agartha, it's like, well, no, these Quetzalcoatls are like actually like the forms of like what's it called, bodies, like actual bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. So like, are you saying that once these Quetzalcoatls, like what's it called, they bridge and they go into the topside world, their bodies starting to start to take shape into like what is around them, or they start to like decay. And I also, it looks beautiful when the what's it called, the clavis is starting to get shown to them and you start seeing those rays of light. Like I think visually that
Mm-hmm.
looks really appealing and beautiful. um but yeah, like the Quetzalcoatls was really interesting in just the architecture of like these cities, and also just the look of it. I mean, it looks beautiful. Those the I can't. What was the name of the things that want to eat them? What was the name of those things again?
The one that wanted to eat them. Oh, see, los Yorks or something.
Yours,
Let
yeah.
me.
It's so scary. Like that's
Yeah,
like
it
I was
was
like,
so
what
weird.
the hell? Like their body, like they have red eyes, and then their bodies are all kind of full of like static. And it's just like okay, like that's like that like looks kind of freaky. I was like okay, like and I thought it was really interesting that they couldn't go into water. Like
Yeah.
yeah, they couldn't go into water. Like they were like on land, it's fine.
Isokus. I think that's what they're called. Um,
Yeah,
at least I looked it up. But yeah, like that they couldn't get near water and that they couldn't be in the sun.
yeah,
Um, and they just kind of like went through the shadows.
yeah. And then of course when it comes to this, like you gotta put these people through like these harsh ass journeys so that way when they get to where they need to be, they gotta fucking go down a big ass cliff.
Yeah, that
And
was crazy.
I thought, I was like, okay, and it's literally in the center of that earth, like it's like so going down there, and I thought that was like, wow, like okay, man, that's so harsh. And oh my god, when Mr. Masaki falls down, like I was like,
Ooh,
oh man.
yeah.
He even said like, oh, they're ruins. I was like, okay, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. It's kind of like they're like supposed to be ruins. It doesn't look like Aztec or Mayan, but it does look. For some reason, it reminded me of the Petra, the Petra in
Oh,
Jordan. I don't know
yeah.
why, but it's just I was like, okay, it kind of looks like the Petra in Jordan. But is there anything else you wanted to bring up about Agartha before we move on to anything else?
It reminded me too of like um the ah why am I forgetting my own culture
Yeah.
from Black Panther?
Oh,
The like
oh, Talocan.
The Talocan. Yeah, it
Yeah,
reminded me of Talocan at the beginning because I thought that everything was underwater, but
yeah,
then it was just kind of like a way to go
yeah.
through it.
You know how the nature looked also reminded me for some reason of Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Yeah, like all that
Same.
green kind of was like, what the fuck, man? Like, is this Ocarina of Time? Like, For some, but that's I was just like, okay, that was interesting, but that's it comes with the animation style. But yeah, I thought it was I thought that was interesting the way he kind of like displays Agartha, and of course, it Agartha is an actual mythical thing that people discuss. It's supposed to be an idea of like Hollow Earth. I don't know anything about Hollow Earth, guys. The only thing I know about Hollow Earth was in Godzilla versus Kong when they go to the Hollow Earth to retrieve the freaking staffs. So
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Hollow Earth. That's you guys come to the wrong podcast about that. Yeah, we don't. I don't know anything about that. But I wanted to now go into to discussing some of our central characters here. I mostly jot down here. I wanted to talk about Asuna and her, her relationship to Shun and Shin. So Shin is the boy, the 11-year-old boy, who what's it called? Who ends up and she sings that final song with him, and it's obvious. So it's she likes him. She likes him. She falls in love with him, and you can tell by the how she gets all blushy and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I really want to go see him. Like, I wanted to go take him these things." And she's very sad that that she can't find him, and they say that they found the body of this boy, with what's it called, with her mom's, what was it, like a scarf or something? I can't remember.
Oh, it's the school scarf, like the
Yeah,
the
the
scarf
scarf.
they
Yeah.
use for school.
Oh yeah, they found her scarf with this boy, and she was very sad about that. And then when Asuna meets Shun, she's completely different. It's a
Shin.
complete.
So Shun is the one
Okay,
she likes, and Shin is the brother.
okay, Shin. So she meets Shin, and it's completely different. She this guy is like super reserved. It's not open. She thinks it's Shun at first, but it's not. And it kind of like she has to kind of like what's it called, warm up to the idea that this isn't the same person. It's her brother, and they're what's it called? They're not the same person, and you can tell with the way that he kind of interacts with Asuna that it's not like the same way that the Shun had towards her. But I wanted to get your thoughts on their like on those four, well, the three characters and their interactions with each other.
Yeah, so at the beginning, it's really funny because when you were mentioning how at first Asuna, it seemed like she was like she was alone completely. At
Yeah,
first, I was like, "Is this girl delusional? Like her mom's not
I
even
thought her
there."
parents were dead.
Yeah,
Like I was like, okay, and then when the mom appears, I'm like, what? So you're just
you exist.
work for like days on end at your job. You don't come home, and like this child's just supposed to like, which by the way, I'm not saying that this probably doesn't happen. This probably does happen in the real world. Well, there's kids who have to just fend for themselves because probably their parents, what's it called? They only have one parent, and that parent is constantly working. They don't have time to what's it called? Take care of them, which
Christ.
sucks because they're getting neglected. But like, I was like, dude, this what the hell? Like, this whole time I like thought that they're both dead. This girl just lives by herself, and whatever Japan's version of CPS is not getting involved here.
Yeah, because it's probably because it's kind of it's the urban area, and it's a small town, and people kind of it at least it looks like the community, everybody knows each
Mm-hmm.
other, and
Very tight
and
knit.
so it doesn't seem like anybody has a big problem with it because the girl is not, you know unless the child seems off, in as in like not doing their homework or not going to school, then oh, there's no trouble, there's nothing wrong with this kid because she's doing all her homework and she's fending for herself, there's definitely nothing wrong with her.
Yeah,
And here she is, like, and suddenly this girl decides to leave her home for like 5 days.
yeah,
So there's definitely nothing wrong with this girl, right? And so it's really, I thought it was really interesting that whenever she's listening, when she first meets Shun, I'm wondering like what how he knew about her, like, at all, because you know how she he says there's a point where Shun was is saying like it just felt like I always had to meet you, or like I always wanted to meet you, or I always wanted to be with you, or like at least see you for a little bit. It was, so how did he have access to her? What
Hmm.
did, was he creeping on her?
It was just like, of course, we don't know how time works here. Like, my
Yeah,
brain kind of thinks like, oh, maybe like he knew her father, his father, and like, or
yeah,
like his or Shun's, what's it called? Shun's father probably knew. What's it called? Asuna's father, and Shun would like Asuna's father would talk to Shun's father about his kids, and I don't know. Maybe that's how it worked, but you know, this kind of idea of like Shun being like, oh, like I've always known about you, and and maybe it's more of like an idea of like guardian angels type of thing. Like
mm,
these spiritual beings, even though they're not spiritual beings, they're more closer to humans, but they're like, hey, they know about us, like they see us, and they can, what's it called? They're kind of protecting over us, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of with you there. I was like, I'm interested to know exactly what he means by like I've always been able to see you. I'm like, okay,
yeah. I mean, it may be, you know how they were all connected to the clavis, or they could just feel the clavis
yeah,
sometimes, or like you would during the movie, whenever they were trying to look for the clavis, or like
yeah,
the
we'd have
part
that
of the
cut right
clavis,
there, right?
there was that one cut where you would see the clavis kind of like vibrate, or like zoom,
Yeah, yeah.
um oh, be bright. And so I'm wondering if that's kind of how they were connected in a way, or the way that he could she could hear him when she was singing, like, um and then Shin comes along, and this kid's an asshole,
Oh
but
yeah. That like you have this like really sweet little boy who like obviously what's it called, has very appreciation. I can't say that he likes her because I can't tell from there. And then you have this other guy who's just a smart ass and he's a real asshole sometimes. And he's like, this dude, this girl is obviously not from this world, and you're kind of being an ass sometimes here, and you're not helping her out.
yeah, and then what the hell is like, oh, that clothes doesn't suit you, like all mean.
Like, okay.
Like
Well, it's
what?
not even her, it's Mr. Masaki as well. Murasaki, who says the same thing. And it's like, okay, all right,
Like, is that code for I look nice? Thank you.
yeah. And you're being hard to get here? Okay.
I
Um,
don't know, that whole relationship was kind of weird, and it would have been like even more fucked up later if Asuna actually would have gotten the soul of his dead wife. That would have been fucked up. Like,
yeah. Yeah. But I got like, I think I got more of the vibes from Shin and Inasuna more like brother and sister.
yeah,
It
they
felt
it
very like
didn't seem
older
like they
brother.
didn't like.
Yeah. Yeah. Where obviously with Shun, it very felt like, oh, like these are two kids who actually kind of like each other, and they.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Shin was more of like, hey, like it feels more like you're my big brother and I'm your little sister, and obviously like you got, what's it called? My brother just died, and I'm over here trying to protect you, and even though he kind of low key goes like, hey, you should give me the clavis so that way you're safe when he goes back to catch up to them.
Yeah, I know. It's so, I don't know.
Bastard,
This
like,
this is just a little messed up, and just the thing though between them is that one scene where they're sitting down, and she's kind of like, so you really are not Shun, and then she starts kind of crying, and then he's like, shut up, don't cry, and then he
yeah.
starts crying. It kind of just it was a I think that because that moment happened uh between them, it was kind of like how she ended up processing that her friend, or the person that she liked, was gone, and that's why she no longer wanted to go into the
Mm-hmm.
deep end, like
Yeah.
it was kind of like her closure in a way, to realize like, wow, this, this person is really gone now, and now she felt no need, or didn't feel like she needed to go and bring him back. Like,
Yeah.
where would he go? And and she would even try and tell the dude, oh, like Mr. Morisaki, that well, I was really curious about that story you were telling us about, and then are you do you think that it's still a good idea to bring back your wife even though she might just be like a sack of worms and dead
Yeah.
dead like body fragments?
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
you always have to. It's like this idea of like you have to sacrifice. Like it's just like in Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood. It's like
Hmm.
like they want to bring back their mom, but it's like, is that really gonna be your mom? Like it's just yeah. Um, and I think and that's a perfect. And I'm gonna segue it into, and I think that's way that they the great way that they kind of like juxtapose here, Asuna and Mr. Morisaki, because Mr. Morisaki, what's it called? It's obviously he's not taking the loss of his wife well. Um, he it seems that he was part of the archangels. Well, first he was part of like the military, right? And then he got recruited into the archangels.
I think it's the same thing because I remember when I was watching, um, oh, well, like some of the parts whenever he's at the war and stuff, I can see the little thing
Oh, okay.
that said archangels, um, and so I'm guessing it was maybe the way that he found out about Agartha
Agartha,
is
yeah.
that they were probably fighting a war against somebody that had gotten access to some of Agartha's like weaponry or whatever, because you know how they said that some people would go and take their resources and take their
Mm-hmm.
stuff and then go up to the top side to fight like wars. And so who knows, maybe they kind of knew about that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
it honestly was really morbid how the wife died, like
Yeah. It's really like, my God,
it's so
yeah.
messed up.
It's messed up, and like obviously he's not home a lot, and when he comes back, like she's super, what's it called, like sick, and she's like dying, and it's like, oh my God. So he hasn't been able to take her death well. So he wants to go to the center. He's like, hey, I'm here because I want to reach this thing. And even Asuna brings up like, hey, it's kind of like you're acting like my dad right now. Like you're kind of acting
Hmm.
like my father figure. Meanwhile, she's trying her best to like kind of like convince him like you shouldn't bring back your wife. Like it's not gonna do anything for you. And it's he what's it called? But he's dead set. He wants to bring back his wife. He even has that conversation with the old man. He's like, and the old man tells him like, you shouldn't play with that. Like let her rest. Like let her be what's it called? Let her be dead because you're messing with the natural order of things. Like death is a very natural thing that we need to just get past.
Hmm.
And he obviously doesn't agree with that. He wants to try this and he wants to try to get his wife back. And he obviously it takes like all you get is just the soul. You don't get the body. You just get the
Hmm.
soul because and it's to an extent it is true. Like where the body is just the house. Like there's not like this body, this skin, it just houses us, you know. Like it's what we do at that time that has truly mattered, because this body, it just gets old, it decays, and it goes away. Whereas he gets the soul, and it's like, well, you have the soul, but you're gonna need somebody to take its place. And the and yeah, it takes the place of Asuna.
It was just so messed up,
Yeah,
honestly. uh
yeah, very messed up.
Yeah, because this girl was just, she took this whole trip as it felt like somebody that it was returning or like not returning, but like going. Because I don't know if you remember, there's like this cut. Damn, I really wish I had more information about the background of this damn movie.
I
Um,
know.
there's this part where she's I don't know if she's dreaming or something, and she's looking at like at the sky, and then she's like, oh yeah, I'm about to be born.
Yeah,
um
yeah,
and then suddenly it's like she's back. And so it felt like Asuna was just kind of like her soul or her person was returning to like her fatherland, like her
yeah,
father's land, and
yeah,
she was just kind of like taking in everything and trying to enjoy what was going on. And then you have this guy who has like this really set on goal of, I need to get my wife back.
yeah,
And then And then he's like, what? So it's not enough for you to take my eyes and like to take all of this, because what did they ask first? Because first he gives the clavis for the soul, and then that's when, oh yeah, they need a body, they
You
need
need
the
a body.
body, they need the body for Asuna, and then they also take the his eyes later. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
understand, like, um I don't know. I guess it was kind of like, okay, yeah, you get to have her back, but you don't get
There's
to actually
sacrifice.
see her.
Yeah,
Yeah, you need something else. Like you can't sacrifice her. Like that's
yeah,
her life
yeah.
you're giving up. So you got to give me something that's
I
yours
guess in a way, kind of punishing. It's like shame on you for trying to what's it called, have
to
her be
take
the
this
vessel. Like
girl.
I'm gonna take something from you then.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and I like you said, like so you have Mr. Morisaki who's like, who's very grief stricken, and you would think that Asuna would go and be like, well, then my mission is to get my dad back. I want my dad back.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not. She's more so like, well, maybe I want to get my the Shun back.
This guy
And
that I met for like three
well, and I thought
seconds.
that was interesting because I mean, loss is hard. It's in itself, right?
Hmm.
But I sit down and I think about it, and I'm like, you have this child who probably lost her father when she was like what, like 6, 7, like
Yeah, she
something like
looked
that.
really like she still kind of couldn't really process, but she could speak. So I would
Yeah.
give it to like maybe 5.
So like, she really didn't have a lot of time, at
Hmm.
least conscious time with him, right?
Hmm.
So like, maybe she has had the time between all those years to really kind of like, what's it called,
Process
process this idea and be like, yeah, well,
grief.
this man, this guy died, and my father's dead, and whereas Mr. Morisaki, he spent, we don't know how many years they've been together, but give or
Hmm.
take, right? They've probably been together for so many years. He spent a portion of his life with her, and when she dies, and it's like, well, shit, man. Like, I'm old now. I've spent all this time, and this idea of like, well, I've devoted my time to this woman, and you know, this is the person who's supposed to grow old with me, and she's dead now, and he's like, well, if I can get her back, I don't have to spend all this time that I have left in my life. What's it called? Without her. Whereas like with Asuna, it's like, I only spent a good like 5 years with my father, like, and I what's it called? I already had the chance to kind of process that, but this boy who I was really into, who apparently has been watching over me for so long, maybe I can try to get him back, and because I can what's it called, be able to what's it called, kind of develop something with him, and I don't know, it's really interesting, and I wish I had more information, right? Because it would be a great way to look at it, but yeah, it's just different. It's interesting the way that like kind of that's represented between those two characters.
Yeah, grief, the way they process grief
Yeah,
is really different. And
yeah.
I
Even the
thought it was,
mom,
yeah, and the mom too.
she just works her ass off.
Yeah, she's a workaholic because she's
Yeah,
trying to avoid, she's doing
yeah.
avoidance.
Hi,
And
it's me. I work my ass off every day. This is what's it called? What's it
to
called?
avoid the life of having to process every single day life
Yeah.
shit. Um,
So I just go to work. What's it called? I get home tired as hell, so that way I can just go to bed and just have to do it all over again. Hi,
oh my
it's me.
goodness, so good. Uh, it's and
It's like, "Picha ka na,
I
no?"
also I also thought, because recently I'm so for my new research method and stuff that I'm doing, I'm trying to find a way to uh, have little kids uh, tell me about their processing, and so I'm thinking about having them do drawings. And so I read this research article about how kids process the death of a loved one, or like their little brothers and or sisters, and how they do drawings to reflect that. And that led me to another thought of when I was little and my dad passed away. I got a bunch of drawings from my second grade class, and it made me think about like how kids process grief and death. Like the way that I was processing it was really different I was still trying to like in shock, like I didn't know anybody that didn't have a parent, and or like I couldn't really grasp what it meant that somebody was gone. And then at the same time I was kind of like avoiding it, but then you have all of these kids, my classmates, who made drawings and wrote me a letter about my dad dying. And so like it makes me think about like how did the teacher, like how did they grasp this idea of like a family member
Yeah.
dying, and how that like affected them later in life, like or how later on if somebody in their family passed away they were able to process it better because they had that experience.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why in this case, like Asuna, she, because she had that experience of her dad passing away and of her processing that death with her friend, that, or like this shun that she kind of liked and wanted to be with, hopefully decided, you know what, like this person is gone, like I can't. And maybe this Mr. Morisaki had never had anybody else or like die on him,
Yeah. And
and
it's
that's
true.
why
He's
he
he's
couldn't really
probably
process it.
as morbid as it sounds. Mr. Murasaki has seen that like I can see how lonely life actually is sometimes.
Hmm.
And it's like I met this woman, I fell in love with her, and I married her, and she's dead now. And it's like I don't want to have to revert back to that time before I met her, and I've had to deal
Yeah,
with not having her. Um,
so
and it
he
also
got
reminds me
obsessed.
that like Asuna didn't really have a lot of friends. She has that one girl, right? That she was like invites her and is like, hey, but it's more of like, oh, this is part of my tight knit community here at home. What's it called here at my city. Whereas like Shun really did feel like, oh, it's this person who like I really feel like a connection to and I feel really close to, and it's
Hmm.
like maybe that was her more so like I want to bring that back. I want to have that idea of like this person that I feel like actually connected to instead of like you know um, har- harming not myself but also being like, well, what would my mom think if I bring back my
I
dad?
know
Excuse me.
she, I think it was like, because she even says like, why were you here, why did I come from, why did I come? And then she's just like, I was lonely, I
Yeah,
felt alone. It just, having to deal with the same thing over and over again, and her mom always just kind of like existing there,
yeah.
but not really being there.
She had somebody she could finally relate to. She had
Mm-hmm.
she had somebody her age who was really close to like what's it called, who actually kind of had an interest in her and like really interested. What's it called? And also was relatively her age, and she was really looking forward to seeing him again. And maybe it was like a little crush. Maybe it wasn't straight up like that serious, but she felt like, oh crap, like this is the first time I kind of like feel like I
Connected to
connected
somebody
to
else.
somebody my age. Like it. So then when she meets Shun. So then when she meets Shin, it really does kind of feel like more like a big brother and a little sister, and it's like okay, like yeah, like this is there's more to this.
Yeah, their relationships felt different, like
Yeah,
because
I
she could connect with him too, but it wasn't the same type of connection, but at least she had a sort of connection with somebody.
yeah. And even at the end, she kind of gets that connection with Mr. Murasaki as well. Mr. Murasaki,
Hmm.
like, and I think that's what her journey was going there. It's like her way of figuring out how to move past all this loss. It's like, what's the people you surround yourself with?
Hmm.
It's your family, your friends, the people who are at your school, and she kind of figures out like, yeah, like that's she grows older, right? And she what's it called? That's why I love that ending. It's like she doesn't have to end up with this guy again. Like she could just take what she's learned from this and she takes it into her adulthood, where it's gonna be, those real formative years are gonna, they're gonna what's it called influence the way that she navigates life as an adult.
Yeah, because it made her realize what does she have right now. Because if before it felt like she was kind of like just going through the motions because she had to take care of herself, because she, like, it's always the same type of routine, but not like really paying attention to, let's say, the flowers that are growing
Yeah,
near her house, even though she passes by them every single day. And so it I really liked that she didn't decide to just kind of like leave everything behind and stay in this new world, because I think it happens to everybody. Like, whenever you you're seeking change whenever something bad happens to somebody in their lives and somebody passing away. You're what is it, like the trope, oh, I'm gonna cut my hair, I'm gonna be different, or maybe not just necessarily somebody passing away, but like losing a friendship, losing a friend, going through a breakup. All of that requires you some grief. Like you have to grieve the relationship, you have to grieve all of these emotions and memories. So what do people do? They want change, they want something different, they want, to experience something else, because they feel that what they have is not enough. But it's not until you take a step back and you realize that what you have is a lot. You just had never paid attention to it because of this relationship. Then you realize, okay, so it's now adding to it. I'm not getting something completely different. I'm gonna enjoy what I have, appreciate what I have, and do more for, and like, and get more, and try and get a grasp of what else I can add to my life,
Yeah.
and not just have something completely new. And so I think it
Yeah. Be
it
grateful for what
was.
you have, and also seek adding to it more.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that whole I guess that message that we don't know if Miyazaki is
If,
actually trying to give us, but
yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
we got.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like sometimes the best solution isn't the easiest one. It's the one that takes more
Hmm.
time, and I think that's what it means with Murasaki. It's like this is the easiest one you can do, but I think the one that's gonna work for you the best is the one where you take your time to process this and to realize that, like, hey, life has to move on. You have to go with the natural process of death, and where you have to, look at it like, hey, man, like it happened, and she's resting now, and it's a more natural way of looking at life. You have to celebrate her life instead of grieving it constantly. So that was good, and we covered a good amount of the grieving there. So, do you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
I thought it was real creepy when this, like, the freaking Quetzalcoatl like fucking eats them and then
Yes,
throws himself into the deep end.
reminds me of in Smash when I'm Kirby and you suck in somebody and you just like throw yourself off the ground, off the side. Yeah,
Dude, that was so
I was like,
freaky.
what? I was like, okay, but it's like,
Where's Mimi?
yeah, oh Mimi, bro, like that was so cute. It's like, and it hurt her so bad to see me,
I
but it's true.
know.
It's like her job is over. She was here to guide you to where you needed to go. It's done. And it's like, but Mimi is always going to be a part of you, and
Hmm.
I that was great. And that's what animals are, and it's some whether you believe it or not, some of those alebrijes they're around us, and I thought that was so cute. I thought Mimi was so cute. Also, the idea that like I think he was giving her food too. Um, he would like give him like part of the bread or whatever they had like food there, and then Mr. Murasaki kind of like um started like to warm up to Mimi.
Yeah, and then the freaking guy was like, "Oh yeah, she'll be good food, so
Yeah.
gotta feed it." And then poor
Did you, by the
Mimi.
way? I'll bring this up before we finish up here. When um when Mimi helps them, right? Mr. Murasaki says like this might prove to be a lot more useful than I think. Did you kind of get the idea that he was gonna turn on them? He
Yeah,
was gonna
it was.
turn on Asuna?
I don't. I think it meant it was more so kind of. Um, it made me. I think that's when he realized that Mimi was from there.
Okay, okay, yeah,
Because Asuna doesn't, doesn't really think about Mimi being an alebrije at all.
yeah,
But it's not until Mimi not talks, but kind of like connects with the Quetzalcoatl that's
yeah,
guarding the entrance
yeah,
for Agartha, or like before they go into that like deep water thing,
yeah.
Aguatita. Um, and that's when I think it wasn't so much a I'm gonna turn on them, but more so this is gonna be useful. But
Okay.
it's because at the
The
beginning,
way
Mr.
he says it makes me feel like
Morisaki
I'm
was
gonna kill you.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
What? Put
I
a
think
gun to the
he.
to their heads, and it's like,
Yeah.
actually, guys, I just wanted to find a way into the gate. Like, I'm not actually here to hurt you guys. Like, I'm here to go on the street. It's
Hmm.
like, what?
And then Nasun is like, okay. sure, let's go. Give me your hand and let's keep going
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
And it's so weird because or whenever she's like, "Oh yeah, take off your clothes. I'm gonna wash them for you," or and they're like, it's just so weird. I'm like,
yeah,
girl,
yeah. But
that's about
but
it.
yeah, man, I think that's a good amount. I think we got a good conversation out of this. I think we did a really
Yeah.
good job here. Yeah, just information is very scarce, guys. There's not a lot here, but I think from what we got, we were able to have a good conversation. I'm glad that the next time you will see Michelle will not be for another Shinkai. It's gonna be for Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue, which I think that that's gonna one
Yes,
that I'm
I've
looking
been
forward to.
waiting to talking about that movie with you.
Yeah, we have to finish up this season. We can't start off season 3 without finishing season 2.
I know, I know.
So yeah, that's gonna be great. So I'm really excited for that to be our next discussion. But yeah, for now, do you want to let them know where they can find you on the internet and all that stuff?
I haven't been online in the longest time, but if you wanna look me up, my handle is Queen Weeb with three E's on Queen and three E's on Weeb. On not Twitter anymore, but X. It's the same thing.
Right.
And I think I have an Instagram for it. I have no idea, but you can follow me there. And yeah, I mean, unless you want to look into my research and stuff, I'm on X as PMOCHOA. It's my initials, whatever. PM and then Ochoa with two A's, and you'll probably see me posting about the conferences and things like that I'm kind of doing on. So that's about it.
Awesome. And as always, guys, you know that you can catch up with me on social media by following me at the Nerd Chicano on Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, Serialized, TikTok, and on Twitch. I'm on the same on all those platforms as the same handle, so I make it pretty easy for you to find me. Of course, please go and check out the Nerdcore by going to nerdcore.com, Twitch and YouTube at the Nerdcore. We could really use your support, and we really would enjoy you all going there and interacting with us. So I will. We are going to continue on with this, guys. We got about a couple more episodes left in this season, but for now, this is the end of Michelle being here for season 2. So we'll see her when she returns for season 3. But for now, it's been a great time, and I have really enjoyed our conversation. I just, like I said, I just wish there was more to say about this movie, and I wish there was more to
To say
discuss
about
about.
Shinkai.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Yeah. Hey, if you're listening to this, man, let me know what were you trying to do with this, bro. Like, yeah, I would really
Yes.
like to know. But for now, that's been it, y'all. So to all my wonderful cinephiles and renowned scholars, celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. Catch you all on the next one, guys. Bye bye.